What you talking about, Bigfoot? Who is this? Arkansas. You speak up. I know no such person, no such place as Arkansas. Now, Victor. Victor. I know this Victor. Victor I like. Dadgummit. Can't see through those things. Gotta get rid of that. Well, Bigfoot, I gotta give it to you. Had no intention of making a video today. But I obviously seen your video. Don't know nothing about no man crush. And now, you've spoiled the surprise. I'm sure Ark will probably see this. And Ark, I got you a couple of koozies. Because those old white ones were just nappy looking. But you got to get a P.O. box or some way. I understand all the OPSEC shit. I wouldn't want to give my regular mailing address out either. But hey, if you want some cool koozies, figure out a way for me to send it to somebody, to send it to you or whatever. We'll get them to you. It's kind of one of them deals. I run into it in a. We got a little kind of like a. I don't know if you got big lots up there. It's kind of like a mom and pop kind of big lot. It's a little surplus, some groceries. I think kind of whatever falls off the truck or what gets run over in the highway and still warm, kind of a deal. But anyway, and Bigfoot, I like your contest. I went down there and left as many as I could, but man, you've already got a ton of people that have commented. Some of them I was already subscribed to. Some more I did, and I'll go back and do some more because there are actually some ones on there that I had meant to write down when I saw them and didn't, so I'm glad they're kind of all in one place. And as far as filter goes, I'm 63 years old. I've dealt with the public almost 50 years. After I had this little tussle with cancer about 5.5 years ago, might have been a side effect of the chemo, might have just been age. My filters have burnt the slam out. They're gone. They rotted off, fell away. I used to mutter under my breath, first to myself, then muttering under my breath in customers' houses about their Chinesium products and who was the idiot that designed their kitchen and so on and so forth. And then I realized a couple of years ago that I was actually muttering loud enough that probably everybody in the house, certainly anybody within 15 or 20 feet, could actually hear me. Did I care? Nah, not really. I ended up kind of retiring on account of my health. My liver tried to give me the old shaftaroonie, and I whipped that. I cheated death 3 times already. But when it's your time, and no sooner, no later. But I was kind of upset about retiring, a little bit because of the work, mostly because I was waiting for that one jerk-off customer to open their mouth the wrong way, and I was finally going to tell one of them off. I never got to do it. Wife used to answer the phones for me years and years ago, and you know, when they're calling me, they're not booking a vacation to the Bahamas. They got a problem. I get it. And maybe it's the seventh problem of the week. The refrigerator croaked, after the washer croaked, after the AC croaked, after the roof started leaking, yada, yada, yada. But they tend to be really, sometimes, most of the time, they're pretty good. They're upset, they're frustrated, but they keep it. They don't direct it, let me put it that way. They don't direct it at anybody, but some of them do. And I'd come in and my wife would tell me, you know, Joe Schwartz. Actually, it usually wasn't Joe, it would be like Mrs. Schwartz. Women seem to be worse about doing women horribly than men were. And they would dump all over. And it usually wouldn't even be an existing customer, it would be a new one. And I'd call them back to either see what the deal was or confirm an appointment or that kind of a deal, you know. Halfway hoping they'd go off on me where I could tell them what they could do with all their issues, where they could put them, kind of a deal. And they always usually were just pleasant as could be to me, which obviously infuriated my wife. But, you know, that's just how it goes. You know, I told her this spiel about, you know, they're not booking a trip to the Bahamas. And the other deal is, if you've dealt with the public, if you've been in business, I'm not saying to kneel to anybody, but my thing was two things. One, you can lose a customer in 5 seconds, and it might take you, if you're lucky, 5 years to get them back. Second thing is, if you refuse to do business with assholes, you may eventually not be doing business with anybody. But anyway, kind of sidetrack there, as John would say, but I digress. Appreciate it, Bigfoot. It's strange. It's really kind of strange. And yeah, I like Arkansas. He's a character. You can just sit and look at him, his facial expressions, and he just loves to screw with people. And I love that, man. I love that. The I can't hear you, I can't understand you shit. And drinking out of the sock. I don't really get the sock koozie thing so much. I mean, now, drinking whiskey out of a black 5-inch pump, well, that's another story for about 45 years ago. But anyway. So anyway, thanks a lot, Bigfoot. We'll talk at you. And because I didn't want to do this for this, I've got a video that I was going to do. And I was going to do it with visual aids, but because of time restraints and I'm not prepared, and I didn't just want to do kind of a shout back to a shout out to a challenge to a contest to whatever to Bigfoot or small footed at a redneck. I've got a little deal I was going to do here. Overlooked prepper items, and I got like 15 items here that a few of them may have been mentioned here and there, but some of them not so much. Now, obviously, food, water, P's for your pea shooter, because I don't want to use the same euphemism that everybody else is using currently on YouTube. Medical supplies and that's all kind of a given. Everybody says that. And not that they shouldn't. Those are important items. But once you got some food, once you got some peas, once you got a pea shooter, once you got some medical supplies and maybe ways to generate power and stuff, there are some things that kind of get overlooked. It's like it's all well and good to have a hammer, but if you don't have a nail, what are you going to do? So this is kind of in that vein. Like I said, a few of these items have been mentioned by others, but some of them haven't. So the number one, trash bags. Now everybody talks about the contractor's bag, which are great. Not so much for trash. You know, they're heavy, you can make a lot of stuff out of them. Either a short dude or two of them for a tall dude. Yeah, you can make a big shift body bag for that puppy. But just trash bags, because the world slides off the side. Maybe not so much if you're in the country, but if you're in the burbs or in the city, I'm pretty sure the garbage men are going to be the first ones don't show up for work. So, again, this is kind of mostly, but not exclusively, for people in the suburbs and the cities. You've got to do something with the trash. So you need some trash bags, various sizes. And they perform all kinds of uses. You can do anything from bag somebody's head and put a zip tie around it to actually put your bathroom garbage in one. So trash bags, all sizes. Gloves. Now, I think MD Creedmoor kind of mentioned this a little bit a couple of weeks ago. But not just your tactical gloves and your shooter's gloves and stuff, or even your warm weather gloves, but just some general purpose. Some of those, just cloth jersey gloves. Buy you a 12-pack of them. They're cheap. You can get them for $12 to $15 on Amazon. You know, I bought a bag of small ones and a bag of large ones. I actually can wear the smalls because I don't have Bigfoot hands. But you know, you're going to use them. You got to cut firewood, you got to work in the garden, whatever, and could be a trading item, but certainly an item you'll use. You don't want to wear your, I can't think of, like your mechanics camo shooting gloves to wear them out working around the fire in the garden. Trust me, I know this for a reason. I had a brand new pair. And I went hunting, and I put my finger where I shouldn't have, and I got a brand new pair of gloves with a hole burnt in the finger. Another story. Tape. Now, everybody mentions duct tape. Got to have duct tape. You can fix a lot of stuff with duct tape, but other tape, too. Scotch tape. Athletic tape. That kind of cloth tape. You know, like fighters tape they tape the fighters' knuckles and fists up with, and it was kind of medical tape back in the day. Now they've got, these thinner paper surgical tapes, which that's the next one, which is probably kind of encompassed in your medical supplies. But surgical tape, electrical tape, just your regular old electrical tape, and maybe even if you want to throw an extra in there, foil tape. They make tape, and I'm familiar with it from working on heating and air and appliances. Some of y'all have seen it. I've seen it used in some projects, but it's just an aluminum foil tape with an adhesive. Great for a lot of things, including sealing up the seams in your box, your metal box that you're going to turn into your Faraday cage. Towels. And I'm not talking about bath towels and hand towels. You can get bags, big bags of bar towels or painter's towels, terry cloth towels. They're small, probably smaller than an average hand towel, because stocking up on paper towels is a waste of money. They're going to run out. They're good for a couple of things, but we used rags for many, 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 many years, long before we had paper towels. And also, in the same vein, I think they may package them as painter rags. Any of you fellas that, or maybe even gals, that have worked as a mechanic, we had those red rags. Now, they dye them partly because they turn blue if they've been in contact with battery acid, which rots the rag, and then the companies that lease them to you, that you pay for the service, they'll charge you for the rags that got blue spots or turned blue. But you can get those same type, I don't know, they're 10 by 10 or 12 by 12. They sell them at like Home Depot. You can get them on Amazon, probably Lowe's, any place like that. And they're just a natural color, kind of an off-white. But great for cleaning and painting in anything, really. But you can wash the stupid things, and you don't have to throw them away unless you booger them up bad. And hey, eventually there's a toilet paper supply there. Vinegar for pickling stuff. Get you some apple cider white vinegar. For pickling stuff, you can pickle eggs, obviously pickles. You can pickle sausage. You can pickle some meats. I've heard pickled eggs will last well over a year, and some claim 2 years without refrigeration. But that was one of the forms of preserving food, was pickling. Now everything's not going to be great pickled. You may not like the taste of it. I'm fixing to pickle some eggs. Never had one. Used to see them in convenience stores. Was kind of turned off because they may have been pickled in beet juice. It was real common to see them pickled in a pink sauce, juice. And it's like, I don't know. But since, and because my ducks are laying overtime, and I've got eggs coming out of my ears, I got to find something to do with them. So I'm going to do about 3 different recipes on pickled eggs, and I may shoot a video on that. Not so much for the pickling of the eggs, and this is going to sound stupid, but to show people how to easily peel hard-boiled eggs, because about 2 years ago they came out with one of those kitchen gadgets on TV to peel eggs with, and I laughed. I thought it was so stupid because it looked to me 10 times more work than the way I had figured out how to peel an egg, which was real easy. But that's a lot of those kitchen gadgets are like that. They get your 1995 and you figure out, and it ends up in the drawer at Goodwill, or you give it to one of your kids, or you throw it in the garbage. That was really the point of that. But I'm going to pickle some eggs and pickle some sausage. Try to figure out what I like and what would be good for something. Along the same vein, salt. And not just salt for eating and stuff. Keep you some extra salt. You may not need it, but especially if you're homesteading, maybe raising your own meat, or if stuff kind of really slides off the map and we don't have electricity for refrigeration, that kind of thing. One of the other old-time deals, which is not particularly great, but it's better than nothing, was salt curing. I've had salt cured ham, and it's salty. And you kind of have to, it either has to be the only thing you've got, or you have to have a real acquired taste for it. I'm not particularly fond of it, but if I hadn't seen any meat in 3 months, I'm pretty sure salt-cured pork would be just fine by me. Saw blades. Extra blades for if you've got a bow saw to cut wood with, a sawzall, a jigsaw, a circular saw, a few extra blades if you've got some chainsaws. I know some of this is what if we don't have electricity? I've got pretty much all of those saws, with the exception of a chainsaw, which I've got chainsaws in gas, but the rest of those I actually have the sawzall, jigsaw, circular saw. I have all those in Ryobi, which seemed to work pretty good. I used them at work when it was just, you need to make a little cut. You're not going to do the most heavy-duty work with those, but it's great to pick up for a little cut or a little bit of work. But the beauty about those is I've got 12-volt battery charger. I can charge it off the vehicle. I can charge it off my solar, so I can maintain some power to us along with the drills and the drivers. And so you want extra saw blades. You ain't gonna be able to run down to Lowe's or Ace Hardware when the zombies take over. I mean, you may be able to go down there, you may be able to just pick the stuff up, but you've got the zombies to deal with, and they're kind of a pain in the ass. Hardware, screws and nails, hinges, hooks, stuff like just extra wire. house wire, Romex, automotive, just stranded wire, where you can fix stuff and jury rig stuff and make stuff. Now, granted, this isn't the high items on your priority list for prepping. These are, you got food, you got some pew seeds, you got your pew, you got medical, you got water, you got all that stuff, or at least a good start on it. But these are some things don't overlook because, baling wire, tie wire, and then paint, some extra paint. Just, don't chuck your paint away. If somebody's giving some old cans of paint away and they're still good, hang on. You never know what you're going to need. And, if my dad was born in 32, so he grew up during the Depression as a kid, and he developed some kind of hoarding skills that some were passed to me. I called it more pack rat. I can't stand clutter, so I get so much if it's not organized I have to purge, but I get it because you ain't got money to go buy it, or there ain't no store to buy it from, and you need to paint a door or fix whatever. Stuff like caulk, silicone and latex caulk. You fix a lot of stuff with that. You could fix a leak in your roof if you could find it, on the shingles or stuff with that. So, but then building and fixing stuff is something I've done my entire life. I started taking things apart when I was less than 2 years old. It took me a bunch more years before I could put anything back together. But it made my mother real handy with hand tools. Another one that I think is really overlooked is Ghee. And I recognized the name, but I'd really forgotten what it was between age and the chemo. Probably destroying a few brain cells that I really could have used. I probably knew what it was at one time, but what it is, it's clarified butter. You take butter and you heat it up, and the milk fat's separated, and then you can kind of strain it out, and you get kind of a pretty clear yellow liquid that I've got to do a little bit more research on it. You can do that yourself. So I hear some conflicting, I won't say conflicting, but different takes on that. Some people just do it, put it in jars. They say it lasts for a long time. In other words, years, just on the shelf. I know some people pressure can it. I don't know if you need to pressure can it or not, but there's your butter. Because unless you got a cow and a churn, that might be one thing that you just won't think about until you use that last piece of bread and you realize, I got no more butter. You can bake some bread, but you can't run to the store. And if we get one of those EMPs, the grid slides off, or electricity is $18,000 a month because of the economy and you can't afford it anymore, there's an option for that. And along the same vein, vegetable oil, whether you're using canola or vegetable or corn oil for frying and cooking and stuff, don't overlook that, because that's one thing. If you've got meat, if you're raising chickens, hogs, whatever, where you've got meat to cook, or even to make cakes and so on and so forth, you may want some of that. We're not a big user anymore of it. When I was young we did, but I've got a few tubs of the old Crisco type shortening, as well as a number of jugs of vegetable oil. Bar laundry soap, you can get that after something, I can't think what it is. I've only seen one brand ever. Walmart carries it, and I've seen some of the other stores. It's about $1 a bar. But laundry soap, again, it's all well and good to have the fancy stuff in the jug, which I don't really even like, but most of the powder stuff is garbage now too. So I just buy what's the cheapest because I think it's all crap now. And this isn't like a necessity. You can do it the hard way. But grab you one of them old-time scrub boards. Wash scrub boards. You don't necessarily need a tub. Like I've got a big sink in the laundry room. We could use that. Or I could make a tub out of something. And I've even got a wringer, a hand wringer. That, you can wring them out by hand. That's kind of a luxury on that. And something to make clotheslines out of. And clothespins. Even if you've got electricity and whatever, maybe you need to conserve energy and it's a nice warm summer day. My mother-in-law up until, and even my wife, and it's been a number of years now, used to like, even though we had the dryer and all that stuff, like to hang like sheets out on the clothesline because maybe they didn't. I never noticed one way or the other, but they claimed they liked the way they smelled air drying. 12. Paint thinner, acetone, lacquer thinners. Great for a lot of stuff. Obviously thinning paints, cleaning paint brushes, cleaning glues off, a lot of stuff like that. Very handy to have around. Again, WD-40. Make sure you got 4, 5, 10, 20, 40 cans of WD-40, or you can get the knockoff from like the auto parts store or Walmart, which is cheaper. It's kind of the same dip. Now that's not really a lubricant. That stuff does evaporate. It'll stop that squeaking door for about a week, and then it starts squeaking again because it's not oil and it does evaporate. But it's great for what it does, breaking stuff loose, freeing stuff up, kind of cleaning some of the rust. You get a pair of pliers you leave outside and they're half froze up. Squirt the crap out of them with WD-40 and work them back and forth. You can get them cleaned back up and working again. You want to have some of that around. Extra oil for your vehicles, tractors, lawnmowers. Extra antifreeze. And obviously, which this has probably been covered, fuel stabilizer. Because it's hard to find gasoline that does not have ethanol in it. And you can store it pretty good. But it's going to pick up water. I'm looking at maybe buying a water separator from that you'd put like on a diesel. I got a 55-gallon drum where I can pump. I've got fuel stabilizer in it, but I'm a little paranoid about it. And I thought, well, if I can pump it through a water separator, and then I just don't have to deal with it. Not too big a big deal in the truck because the water would be minimum unless it was really bad contaminated. But, like in the lawnmower or garden tractor or rototiller or something like that, chainsaws, there's so little fuel in the tanks that could cause you some problems. 13, notebooks, spiral notebooks, just like this, legal pads, little notebooks you can shove in your pocket, just extra paper, whether it's notebook paper, just computer paper for your printer, something you could draw, write on, make stuff out of. Extra pens and pencils. I mean, if you're like me and you have a fetish for certain nice pens, buy you some of them refills. Now you can go to the office supply or Walmart and buy like the Parker Brothers and the Cross. Those are the two most popular refills for like the nice pens. But you can get them off of Amazon for like 1/10 the price. And the last ones that I could provide, if somebody's really curious, I can give you the Amazon link, because I bought some a few years back that kind of sucked. These last ones I bought have been really good, and they were literally like, you buy like 2 cross refills for like $6, and I bought like 20 for $6 or something like that. They were really cheap, and they do work good. If you're growing any kind of plants, the 5-leaf variety, or tomatoes and cucumbers and so forth. Fertilizer, plant food, that kind of thing. Because again, it's one, it's going to probably get expensive at minimum, and 2, if it goes to shit, we won't have it. Now, if you're out in the country, it won't be as big a deal because maybe you got chickens, you got fertilizer, you're making some compost and that kind of stuff. So that might not be as important, but it certainly would help you out. And the last one I've got in here, and I probably could add 10 more if I thought about it, Ziploc bags, all sizes. And I even discovered that you can get 2-gallon Ziploc bags, which I did not know. I use them for all kinds of stuff. Obviously, I'll buy a package of chicken and split it up. It's just me and my wife, so a lot of times one chicken breast is enough for dinner. I don't eat very much, and then a lot of times you get these gargantuan chicken breasts anyway, and then leftovers, because we've been in this mode for a while, but really trying to make a minimum amount of food, not so much to shorten or decrease our portion that we eat, but where there's less leftover. Some things my wife will keep, or I might keep and eat the next day for lunch, and some things it's just like, if it doesn't get eaten that night, it's garbage. And there's just 2 of us now, so it's pointless. Now, some recipes I'm having a hard time getting those proportions right, because I got a recipe that serves 6 people. I had 4 kids, and it doesn't scale down, because you got a can of cream of chicken soup or a can of cream of mushroom. Well, okay, I can cut it in half. What do I do with the other half a can? I'm working on that. In fact, I did a couple of recipes over this week where I used a half a can of each, cut my recipe down, and then I made chicken and dumplings, which I'm recycling again tonight. So I worked that out, where we don't waste stuff, because one, the world may slide off the face of the map. Number 2, even if it don't slide off the face of the map, I'm getting a whole, not to disclose my financials, but once you figure out I ain't rich, I ain't worth your time. I'm getting a whole $889 a month Social Security. I got the $11 a month raise in January. I thought, partay, baby. We could almost buy 2 combo meals at McDonald's with my raise. So I'm trying to minimize expenditure, because I told my wife, I said, well, I was going to retire. I wasn't really going to retire, but I was going to start drawing my Social Security, and then before my liver tried to take me out. And she got mad at me because, well, we can't live on $878 a month. Well, I never suggested we could, because I know we can't. Unfortunately, we both smoke, which is a real detriment to the wallet there. That's kind of a bad deal. And I've tried to quit. I've justified not quitting last year because I understand that COVID don't like nicotine. So it's like, smoke another one. And then everybody's worried about hand sanitizer. I'm buying enough alcohol to make sure my insides are sanitized and what the hell is this thing? COVID is de-virusized. So I'm sterilizing the inside and the outside. Anyway. As John would say, I digress. I've kind of forgot where the heck I was at now. But anyway, I guess that's about it. I'll come up with something again. I really had hoped for a better thing. I do want to give a shout back out to Bigfoot Prepper in Arkansas living. I mean, he's just funny as hell. His facial expressions and the stuff. I kind of liked him, and then I watched a live that Victor was on, and I hadn't laughed like that in years. And I don't know that I'd laugh much in 2020, and I was just about ready to you know what myself. And Victor was funny as hell. And you put Victor and Arkansas in the same room, and you know it's all you can do to contain yourself. So, yeah, Bigfoot. If you want to call it that, maybe a little man crush, but I wouldn't call it that so much. But he's funny, and it was kind of what's funny too is I'm from California originally. Moved when I was 9 years old to Florida. Dad was an IBM or some IBM brat. It's kind of like same as being a military brat if you're familiar or not. And then back to California in '76, and then I came to Texas. Now when I first came to Texas, I don't know, I think every state's got that. They pick somebody to pick on. The next state or the other college that are a bunch of stupid rubes or dumbasses or hillbillies or, you know, whatever you want to call them. Well, the people I was working with, it was people from Arkansas. We called them Arkansanians. So, I'm kind of funny, but now you're talking to an ex-surfer, redneck, now hillbilly living in Kentucky, so what the F do I know about anything? Y'all have a good one. We'll see you again next time.